All right, well, welcome everyone to our Q&AAZK, basically like our town hall where you can hear about the state of the association and also have a chance to ask questions to our board members and staff members as well. And this is being recorded just so that we can post it to our YouTube page so everyone has access to it. Feel free to have your camera on or off, whatever you feel comfortable with. And also, please stay muted unless you want to ask a question later on in the presentation. We'll basically have like a, sort of rundown of everything going on in AZAC right now and introduce everyone. And then there'll be time for questions at the end. And also feel free to put things in the chat. And then this is just our disclaimer of liability. Basically just saying that, all the things presented today are, not necessarily, fully the views of AZAC, everything like that. And also, we want to have a welcoming and safe community. So debate is a healthy thing to do, but also obviously with some kindness. So we're all here together. We're all AZAC. We're helping, to make this uh, the zookeeping profession and animal care profession the best it can be. So there's always going to be disagreements, but yeah, we're all in this together. So just keep that in mind. Everyone's opinions matter, and just offer yours
Oh,
with
maybe move
kindness.
this. Oh, wait. I'm so glad that I.
All right. Well, we'll start with our executive board of directors, but I'm Joe Nappi. I am your new president of the AZAC board of directors. I've been on the board of directors now for 4 years. I helped oversee our connection team, which consists of our communication, diversity, and National Zookeeper Week program. I'm also an active member of the New York City AZAC chapter. I've been an officer in every position and I've rotated through the various positions, so I'm sort of well versed in chapter activities. And I am currently the senior keeper of the giraffe building at the Bronx Zoo in New York, which consists of giraffes, zebras, aardvarks, painted dogs, hyenas, and a variety of other African species.
So, hi everyone. My name is Sarah Berkeley McCall. I'm still in the process, 2 years later, of switching my last name. But I am your current vice president. I've been a part of AZAC since 2020. I was the oversight for our conservation team, so Bowling for Rhinos, Trees for You and Me, and conservation. I am an assistant zoological manager, primarily working with our primates over at Dallas Zoo. But some people know that I'm in the middle of a huge move right now to Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm calling from our hotel room as we are here visiting and looking for a house at the moment. But I'm excited. I'm still going to be working with the conservation team and then also our education teams.
All right, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Snyder Keys. I'm the Connections Oversight board member. So I've been on the board since what was that, September of 2023. And so I am the board oversight for the Communications Committee, Diversity Committee, as well as the National Zookeeper Week program, which sits under the Communications Committee. And then also our brand new program, the Keeper Education Exchange Program, also known as Keep AZAC.
Hello, I am Josiah House. I am part of the Omaha AZAC chapter. I am newly conservation oversight, joined the board back in October. We've got 3 programs under the conservation position, and so that's going to be Conservation Committee, Bowling for Rhinos, and Trees for You and Me. Great things happening in all 3 of those programs, and looking forward to I don't know, many more exciting things coming.
I'm Kendall Moore. I'm the education oversight on the board. I also have only been on the board for a couple months since October, but I oversee ARC, the AZAC Resource Committee, and the IOC, the International Outreach Committee. And then I am located in Houston, Texas. I am a hoofstock keeper at the Houston Zoo. So I also work with like giraffes and zebra and a bunch of hoofstock and a lot of birds. So I think we have a lot of hoofstock people on the board at this point, but I like that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Diefer. I've been on the board of directors for 4 years now, and so I'm the recognition oversight, which oversees the awards committee and grants committee. So we just really like to give people money and recognition, and it's a pretty cool position to have. I work at Safari West, which is a safari park in Northern California. I also mainly work with hoofstock, but do work with a variety of other small species because we have a relatively small staff, so we get to do a little bit of everything. But hoofstock is definitely my passion.
Hey everyone, I'm PJ Bevan. I'm oversight for regulation. That's the Animal Welfare Committee and the Safety Committee. I'm the well-being coordinator at Pueblo Zoo in Colorado. And yeah, we have a bunch of exciting new projects that we're just kicking off for our committees as well. So looking forward to sharing some of that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Soldat Valenzuela. I'm the executive director, and I work directly with our staff, which are on the next two slides, to help execute all of the board's goals and run the association. I am in the Phoenix metro area, and I've been with the organization for about 2.5 years now. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bethany Bingham. I'm the AZAC Director of Professional Development and Conference Management. It's a long title, so PDCM, if you ever see that, that's my acronym. I've been a member of AZAC for, it's going to be 30 years next year. I was formerly on the board of directors, held several committee chair positions, chapter positions at my local chapter. I'm based in Salt Lake City, so I was part of the Utah chapter. And I'm also a former hoofstock keeper, so that's a nice fit with everybody. I'm in charge of the conference program, supporting the future conference hosts, and putting together the professional development aspect of the program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Berry, and I am the new chapter development manager for AZAC, just starting in September. This is my 21st year with AZAC. I'm a retired hoofstock keeper, so again, love that fact for hoofstock right now. Not that I don't like any of the other tax stuff, but yeah. I have served on multiple committees within AZAC. I have moved across the country and been a member of 3 different chapters all over and filled every officer role. So like Joe, very well versed in all things for AZAC chapters. So happy to see what is new and upcoming for everyone.
I don't think any of these, you want to introduce them, Scott?
I was just going to say, Jeff Soldat Valenzuela is our business operations manager. So sometimes when you reach out to the office and you have questions about Recharter and various other programs that involve our operations, he may be responding to you. Jane Good is our editor of the Animal Keepers Forum, the magazine that arrives every month. Shane and Elizabeth are both responsible for ensuring the content as well as advertising, and that it arrives to you every month via mail or email. And I will introduce Elizabeth as well. She's our graphic designer, works with us part-time to manage any graphic design projects, but her primary responsibility is the magazine, the Animal Keepers Forum. Thanks so much.
So this is just an overview of the general structure of AZAC as an organization. Uh, Basically, you have the executive board, which is Sarah and I, which kind of oversee the organization. On the left-hand side, you can see under the executive director, those are all our paid staff members. We have 6 paid staff members, which help keep the organization running, and we've grown to a point where we need these paid positions to help us continue to grow and execute all the strategies that we want to take under our wing. And then on the right, you can see our board of directors. Um, so they're the ones that are not on the executive board, as you were kind of hearing a little earlier, are basically overseeing different committees and programs. So we're going to kind of go into now sort of uh, the different committees and programs. You can see the committees on the left and programs on the right. We'll have each of the board members basically talk about some of the highlights and maybe if you're not already on an AZAC committee, some of these might sound interesting to you. If any of the committees do sound of interest, feel free to reach out to anyone on the board of directors or our executive director. All our contact information is going to be near the end of the presentation. But joining any of these committees or programs is a great way to, build your resume, to get leadership skills, to just develop a lot of different things that can come in handy in your career as a zookeeper or even beyond. These are some of the different projects that have been going on right now. We'll have each of the board members that are overseeing these different committees and programs discuss some of the highlights of what's been going on.
I'll kick off with connections. I will also say I started off my career as a hoofstock keeper, but I am no longer. So those are my roots. But right now I work with native species for the US. And so I work with pinnipeds, birds, small mammals, things like that. So but connections wise, there's a lot going on. All of the committees are quite busy. So the communications committee, they're working on a couple spotlight weeks coming up at the beginning, or I guess end of January, is Spotlight on Ambassador and or Animal Ambassador Keepers, which is a collaboration with ABMA. And then coming up in March also will be a spotlight on Aquariums Week. So look out for that content. They're working really hard to have some collaborations and have some really cool things coming for you guys. The National Zookeeper Week Committee is working on resources to hopefully get the National Zookeeper Week 2026 content and resources out to you guys in early 2026. So you guys can all start planning what you're going to be doing for National Zookeeper Week in July. I don't know if everyone was able to participate in the demographic survey that went out earlier this year from the diversity committee, but they're analyzing that data right now. And things are going really well with that. And that'll be published in the AKF in spring of 2026. They put out a survey in that was 2021. So they do want it to be a pretty regular thing so that we can continue to see how the field is progressing. And then also Keep AZAC, like I said, is a very new program. So the Keep program originated in the UK. They have a couple exchanges there between different facilities for 1 to 3 day exchanges where keepers can go shadow at other facilities and network and kind of learn about training, enrichment, different housing situations, things like that for species they work with. So Keep AZAC here is quite new. And so the team is working on creating the necessary documents and resources to help really kind of kick that off at the beginning of 2026 and help have facilities. If you guys work for a facility that might be interested in participating in this, feel free to reach out and we can help guide those conversations with your facility to see if they would like to be a host institution. So that was a lot. They're quite busy, but they have a lot coming at you guys, hopefully, that you'll enjoy, you'll learn from, and be able to use as resources.
PJ, would you like
Sure.
to?
Yeah, we'll go down. So yeah, with the safety committee, we've actually done quite a bit as far as we presented, we helped with the presentation of the ZR3 workshop at the conference, presented a workshop on safety in conservation work, and then also presented a poster. So that was all done by our committee members. We've updated the crisis management resource that's now available. And we've also, several of the members will do several articles throughout the year for the AKF that we share some more find pretty vital information. We're looking to do a lot more this coming year as far as like more workshops, more working with other organizations to bring you some more resources in that regard for the safety. Animal welfare is also really busy. We have a really interesting setup for our committee. Like we basically will welcome people if they have ideas for projects. And so we just finished the Browse resource. We've been working on that for actually a couple years now. And then we are going to be getting ready to launch a survey on food reinforcers, so different things that we use to reinforce the animals. That will be a survey that we'll be putting out hopefully pretty soon. I'm thinking early next year is when we can probably set that out. Our next big projects we're going to be working on are going to be the ethogram project, and then a reptile, lighting husbandry. And then we're also in the works of talking about transport. So some of those projects, if something is at your forte, we definitely invite you to join the animal welfare or safety. If anything is interesting to you that you want to share with us, or you want to get involved in some of our programs, please let us know, and we'll get you on the committee and get you to work. We're really kind of laid back though, so it's not like a have to get it done this week or this month. We're pretty easygoing, recognizing that it's all volunteer work and that we just want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for you and the animals.
All right, I think I'm up. So awards and grants has been pretty exciting these especially this last year. The biggest thing with awards is we have had a huge increase in the number of sponsored awards. So we had 9 awards this past year that had $500 attached to it for the recipient, which was very exciting. And we're continuing to work on that to expand it, ideally to all of our awards, but we're at least trying to get money attached to as many of the awards as we can. So take a look at them. If you know somebody that is deserving, I'm sure everybody here knows at least one, if not 10 people that are deserving of these awards. Please make sure to put in a nomination. They open up on January 1st. We also developed 2 new awards this past year. So we previously had the Poster and Paper of the Year award that were given out at the national conference. And this year we also added the Workshop of the Year award to make sure that we're recognizing the hard work that people are putting in to present at the conferences. And then we also added the Excellence in Research Award, as research really is developing more and more in the zoological world with the involvement of keepers. And so we want to make sure that anybody involved in that also has the opportunity to be recognized for their hard work. And then for grants, again, we're giving out money. So we're excited for all the applications that we get. Our biggest grants are the National Conference Grant, which is essentially a grant that helps provide money to go to the conference, and then Professional Development Grant, which is for any professional development opportunity that will help develop your career. We also have an institutional research grant, which is for any institutions that are developing research projects and need a little bit of money to help with that. And then the Latin America Travel Grant and the Trees for You and Me grant, which we collaborate with those committees on. We were really excited that we had two new sponsors grants this last year. So we had the Host to Habitat chapter micro grants, where we randomly chose 3 chapters every few months and gave them $300 to put towards enrichment. And so we're excited to see what comes of that. And then I really wanted to give a special thank you. I don't know if anybody's here, but to the Cape May County Zoo AZAC chapter, because they decided to provide money for a grant this past year called Together We Grow. And so we were excited to help facilitate that happening. And the grant essentially helped a chapter that needed money to boost their events and the success of their chapters. That was a pretty cool thing that we got to help facilitate. And it was all due to Cape May County Zoo AZAC chapter reaching out to us at the conference and saying, hey, we want to give money out. And we said, okay, we can help. Yeah, so exciting things happening with grants and awards. If you are interested in reading about all of the amazing things that your colleagues do, I highly encourage you to apply for or join our committees. We are always looking for new members, and it's not a high workload, but it is very rewarding because you get to see everything that people are doing in their field. And honestly, it can be really inspiring to find out what other people are doing. So if you want to join, feel free to reach out to me or the awards or grants chair, and hopefully we'll see some new faces.
So the Conservation Committee is made up of a bunch of eager keepers like yourselves. Their main goal is looking to connect members and local chapters with AZAC's conservation partners all around the world. This could be anything from social media posts to articles in the Keeper Forum to hosting Zoom events with some of the different conservation organizations around the globe. They're very eager to get going on some new projects, better ways to connect our members with all the conservation that we support. Bowling for Rhinos, the next one, is one of our longer running programs. Hopefully a lot of you have taken advantage of the new kind of format we've been using. Hopefully it's easier to report funds and different setups that you've had these past years, as well as looking forward to providing more and refreshed resources for your Bowling for Rhinos fundraisers. Then lastly, Trees for You and Me has been celebrating their 15th year. Christy was on here. She's done a great job heading it up. Trees for You and Me is going through a transition year. We're looking at bringing on some new ideas and some new projects going on there. So stay tuned as we kind of flesh out some of those details and get the Trees for You and Me program back to where we had it and having a great trip and a great fundraising campaign.
And for resources, so that's ARC, the AZAC Resource Committee. It's really a lot of resources available to help people run chapters. We know chapters are kind of the heart of AZAC. They require a lot of effort on the ground for people to run, officers and members as well. And so we have a lot of resources available to help explain some basic stuff about how to run a chapter and how to run a successful chapter, and also answer kind of frequently asked questions. So we are just always working on trying to make sure that people have what they need to run a successful chapter. One of the biggest resources we have is the chapter handbook. It's available on AZAC's website. Has a lot of answers to frequently asked questions about being an officer, about fundraisers, about just what other AZAC chapters do. And so it's a lot of information and we are working on updating it and adding to it constantly. So we're going to be working on a few more sections for it in the upcoming years. One of which is going to be focused on fundraising, having a database of chapter fundraising resources, because we know that is an important part that chapters have to do. So having recommendations and suggestions and frequently asked questions specifically for fundraisers like in collaboration, like it says with BFR, with Trees for You and Me, National Zookeeper Week, stuff like that. Again, we're just really trying to provide resources so that you guys have answers to questions that you may have. And so there's a few other things we're going to start working on, kind of brainstorming sessions, membership participation resources, and kind of a quarterly column where you guys, if anybody in a chapter has a question, they can reach out and then we can answer those questions. So there's a lot going on with that, but we really are meant to be a resource for AZAC members and chapter officers so that we can help with whatever is needed.
Hey guys, so all those resources that Kendall was just talking about, they're all available in the Member Resource Center. And if you haven't gone into that, highly suggest you do. You can scan the QR code, you can go to the website, click the resources tab if you want. There are many options available for you to get to it. These are all just highlights. All the databases that are up are all living databases. So as committees and programs are making changes, you as members will be able to see all those changes in real time once they've all been approved by the board. So you never have to go, is this the old one? Is this a new one? Anything that's up there is current information. Our little disclaimer for that is with the rebranding process, anything that you see in the members resource that still has the older AZAC logo is still usable. The information is correct for 99% of it. But those are documents that haven't been updated with the new brand. So we ask that those don't go out to public share. Those are specifically for you and your chapters. Anything with the new brand, you can print out any of the infographics or anything like that to use for your membership. So please make sure you're checking that out and visiting it frequently. And as all the committees and programs are updating everything, you'll be able to get it in real time.
Hi, everyone. In concert with the board, the staff helps to manage the organization's finances. And you can see a list of our major expenses and income categories. If you're not familiar with nonprofit financials, they're similar to a for-profit business. You have products or services that are sold, and then you have expense, and they bring in income, and you have expenses for running your association. Some of our larger expenses are the Bowling for Rhinos program, obviously, is listed in there. And that is through all of the hard work that our chapters do to raise funds. Our business management and operations would be another one. That would be our staff salaries. The annual conference is another expense. You can see we gave over 26,000 in grants last year out of the funds that we've raised. And last year, a unique expense was our rebranding project. And that was it was almost a year-long project where we went through a series of workshops and seminars with an outside company to help identify the key components of the association that we wanted to bring forward, developed a new logo, and developed a totally new website. Some of our income categories are the BFR program, which of course is turned around to our major partners that receive those funds. The national conference, we do receive some in donations, and then membership is a pretty large amount of our income. So the dues that you pay that help to ensure that you receive the AKF every month and some of the other membership services. And then the other sort of large amount of money that we receive is from our recharter. And that recharter process, our chapters go through each almost spring. It starts in January and ends in March, and that is accounting for your financials. And last year, we had some great feedback on the new process that we rolled out for that. And chapters were getting done in record time, and we could see their data at the same time. And it was a really good experience for both staff, but also I think for our chapters. So we were excited to be able to do that. All of that rolls up to our final net income as an organization. I think given that we spent a good amount on the rebranding project last year, that is a unique cost. Having a net income of negative 18,000 actually is pretty good considering our association is small and relies on volunteers and those of you in the chapters who are doing a lot of the hard work. If there are questions about the financials, we can take those at the end. Thanks so much. And I think we're ready for the next slide.
I don't know if you want to talk any more about the rebranding and how to get to the rebranding logos and whatnot that we have.
Sure. So in this process, one of the most important things for us as an association is we're all saying the same messages and talking about the same things and using the same logo. And our logo our branding resources are right on the website, front and center for anyone to use who's using our logo. We want to be sure that everyone is using the same logo, the updated one, and following the same standards. Many of you work in organizations that have these same standards for your use of your own logo, your host facility, your own institution has rules around how to use it, what to do, what not to do. And so we have those same things. And our staff developed the branding guide and we rolled that out. It's a resource for members, especially for chapters. But if you have any questions about branding, how to use the logo, what you can do with it, what you can't do with it, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to review artwork and make sure that we're all using the logo in the same way. And we hope that you love it and integrate it into everything that you're doing when it comes to advertising and marketing your chapter.
Okay, so I'm not going to read through all of this, but this is just sort of a snapshot of the year. Every year in AZAC is busy. There's a bunch of things coming up now that January is just beyond the horizon. January 1st is when our grant applications open. Most of those are open until March. Also, in the middle of January is when you'll start seeing those recharter packets sent out for chapters to fill out, and those are due back by March 15th. Also, this month, if anyone is interested in hosting a workshop, which if anyone has questions, Bethany would be, I'm sure, happy to answer them, who will be discussing things a little bit more later on about conferences. But those workshop abstracts are due January 15th. Some of the other big things for anyone that wants to host a Bowling for Rhinos event, those basically we have a sanction fee and paperwork that's due May 1st. That just shows that you are going to be like an official Bowling for Rhinos event. Also, the third week of July is National Zookeeper Week every year. So a lot of chapters and different institutions will plan National Zookeeper Week activities. Uh, it's often looked to as like a keeper appreciation week, but really it's supposed to be highlighting the profession and communicating to the general public all the hard work that goes into zookeeping, all of our backgrounds and the work that we put into joining this career. So it's a nice time to highlight all of that. And then in November, which just passed, a lot of those, most of the funds are due for Bowling for Rhinos as well as Trees for You and Me. Then I'll hand this over to Bethany to talk a little bit about our most recent conference and just a recap of that and what's coming up on the horizon for conferences.
Thanks, Joe. We had a great conference in Phoenix just this past October. It was our 50th annual conference, 50th anniversary of the AZAC conference. This is a group photo that is traditionally taken on Zoo Day. Everybody does it a little bit differently. This one they happen to do right in the middle of our lunch hour, but that's when we would have the most people there based on how the buses drop people off in the morning. So I think this one was a really good location and it highlights everybody wearing their conference t-shirts and having a good time in the sun. I think that's Josiah in the front. Am I right? Are you laying in the front? No, is it Tom maybe? It's Tom from Phoenix. Okay, sorry. I need my glasses apparently. Anyway, so again, very well attended conference. We had about 200 attendees with some dailies. We had some full conference registration, some dailies. We had some great exhibitors, really good keynote speaker, good program. So again, if you haven't been to a conference, this is a really great opportunity for professional development and networking if you are able to attend in the future on your own or with support from your chapter or support from your facility or a combination of all of those things. We do have a partnership with AZA just to highlight one of the pieces of the program. So every year there is what we call an AZA AZAC panel discussion. That's a 2-hour workshop essentially that is on the second day of the conference. This year's panel was Sharing Your Passions, a Keeper's Impact on Conservation and Community, kind of keeping with that conservation theme of this year's conference. All of the information from the program from this year's conference is available in the conference proceedings, which is in the members section of the website. If you want to, I don't know who's controlling the slides. So our next conference is going to take us to Tacoma, all the way on one side of the country. So hopefully travel is favorable for everyone to get there. We would really love to have you. I want to take a minute just to tell you the components of the conference before I highlight anything specifically about next year. Our conference program is generally 4-ish days, 3 days of programming, and then a full zoo day. So the programming consists of workshops, which are generally 2 hours, papers, which are generally 15 to 20 minutes each, and then a poster session. Posters are displayed all week. The poster authors have their own session on the second night of the conference. We also have that AZA panel that I just mentioned. That is on Tuesday morning as a 2-hour workshop. And then we have 3 professional certificate courses at each conference. And each of those courses are 12 hours of focused instruction for participants. And those are hosted over the 3 full days of the program part of the conference. So if you signed up for a PCC, as we refer to them, you would be doing 4 hours in the afternoon each on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, which means that you're not able to attend workshops, but you are able to attend papers in the morning session. So that being said, just to give you an idea of the format, the professional certificate courses that will be offered at next year's conference are listed here: Advanced Husbandry of Marine Mammals, Husbandry and Management of Aquatic Marine Invertebrates, and then Empathy for Wildlife, Using Empathy to Support Your Mission and Drive Conservation Action. So if those interest you, there's more information on the conference website, which is listed here on the right side of the screen. Some other highlights for next year's conference. The keynote speaker will be Ken Ramirez, and the Point Defiance chapter is lucky enough to be able to host a dual zoo day for us, which we have not done in quite some time. And so the zoo day will consist of time spent at Northwest Trek, and which is their sister facility, and then the second half of the day will be spent at the Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium. So that is pretty exciting. The important dates there, Joe sort of touched on this earlier. The one that's coming up fast is workshop abstract submission deadline is January 15th. If you're sort of a subject matter expert in something that you would like to share with our members that will be in attendance at the conference, we encourage you to submit that abstract in January. Registration for the conference and a lot more information about programming and what's going on will be available on March 1st at their website. And then if you are more suited to a paper or a poster, which is a little bit smaller presenter format, the abstract deadline for those is May 1st. And then, in case anyone is looking ahead beyond next year, we do have confirmed our 2027 conference, which will be our 52nd conference. That will be hosted by the AZAC Columbus chapter. The dates for that are a little bit earlier than normal. They are confirmed for August 14th to 18th. So make sure that you pay attention to that if you're in that part of the country and that's something that will be easy for you to attend. It's just a little bit earlier. 2028, we just confirmed our host for the 53rd annual conference. That will be the Dallas chapter of AZAC. Their dates are to be determined. I believe they're looking at September. And then 2029. We are currently looking for a host chapter for our 54th annual conference. The deadline for that is coming up February 1st of 2026. If you'd like more information, I'm happy to provide that if you reach out to me. And there's lots of additional people. I think there's a few people on this session that have been part of a host committee before. We can put you in touch with people for some Q&A, and I'm happy to provide some resources for that as well. So that's sort of conferences in a nutshell.
Thank you, Bethany. And now we open up the floor to anyone that might have questions that any of our board or staff members might be able to answer. Feel free to say your questions out loud, or you could type them in the chat, whatever you feel comfortable with. Maybe this was so thorough that there are no questions. Uh, Someone has asked, Bethany, for you, how far in advance do you choose the PCCs for conferences?
That's a great question. We generally select our host chapter and consequently host facility approximately 3 years before. So again, we're looking for the 2029 conference hosts. So once they are confirmed, we will immediately begin discussing the strengths at their facility and the strength of their staff, looking for subject matter experts from within their facility and their staff that are interested in instructing in those 12-hour courses. So if they have, say, a new exhibit or a great strength in great apes, great ape husbandry and management, some advanced techniques for stuff, unique examples of nutrition or medical care or whatnot. That's kind of what we coach them on to look for in terms of finding content for their PCC. So it's usually 2 to 3 years those are decided on. It is part of the conference host process when AZAC enters into an agreement with the host chapter that we all agree on what those 3 courses will be. And if you have questions about what's coming up in Columbus, I can give you an idea, but those aren't totally confirmed yet.
Thank you. Yeah, so far that's the only question. I think maybe another good thing that if you could answer this, Bethany, for anyone maybe that has not presented at a conference before, like kind of what that looks like and sort of the skills that you get from presenting at a conference.
Sure. I'll go ahead and answer the follow-up question that's in the chat about the PCC. So Columbus, I use the example of great apes because Columbus is looking at highlighting great apes as one of their PCCs. That's kind of what I can share at this point. So yeah, that's unofficial. And to talk more about kind of professional development and presentation development, if you will, or skill building. The opportunity to present in front of your peers and colleagues, although maybe daunting for some people. I mean, I started with a poster, then I did a paper. I have not done a workshop. So, you have to kind of start where you're comfortable, but it is a professional sort of accolade. It's a good thing to put on your resume. It's a great way to highlight your facility and a great way for them to support you in attending the conference, which has multiple benefits, right? Not just being a presenter and becoming, comfortable with that and sharing. You would be the subject matter expert in whatever you're presenting on. So it gives you that sort of confidence experience, but it also gives you that opportunity to find other people in the attendee pool that are also interested in a similar topic and then build a network of conversation from there. So again, maybe starting with a poster is the simplest way to do that for some people. We do have that dedicated poster author session on Tuesday night. So poster presenters will stand with their posters for an hour, and delegates will have a chance to kind of ask them questions that they may have been looking at the poster for the day before. They may have said, hey, there's a commonality here. I'd love to talk to you about that. papers is 15 minutes standing up in front of the ballroom, which would be, potentially a larger audience, speaking into a microphone instead of just speaking next to your poster. So there is a little bit more, um, you know, potential for presentation skills there to build your confidence. And then presenting a workshop is quite a bigger process. You have to come up with the content that would fill 2 hours. Generally, you want those to be interactive with your audience. Workshops can be open session, which is in the main ballroom, so that could have an unknown number of people, depending on the attendance of the whole conference. Sometimes we have limited workshops, which are capped at 60 people. So we would work with you if your workshop is accepted. If you wanted to only present to a sort of, controlled smaller group, but generally involving your audience in interactive things is a great way to not have to be standing in front of them. But again, having the content and the subject matter expert, of your topic for 2 hours, that's a marathon for some people. So you have to kind of work up to that and practice. And sometimes people do a workshop with other people. They say, "Hey, look, I'm interested in this. My abstract's been accepted. I'm looking for a couple more people to partner with me on this." That certainly has been done before. You could also do it in the format of a panel discussion instead of just stand up there and present to people. Again, you would have 4 people. A panel discussion is a little bit more formal. They all do stay at the front instead of, kind of interacting more. So there's lots of different ways to become comfortable with that.
Awesome. Thank you, Bethany. Anyone else have any questions? Otherwise, here is all our contact information.
Joe, there's one more that just popped up into the chat about poster examples for people to see.
Yes, those are part of the conference proceedings. So if you're an AZAC member, you can find any number of poster examples in the conference proceedings from this year and back in the member section of the AZAC website. And if for some reason you can't access those, feel free to send me an email and we can talk a little bit more about criteria for posters.
And Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, there is some of that on the Resource Center, right?
Is that there are multiple resources about how to present at an AZAC conference. We have a recorded workshop that we just did reflecting information from Phoenix. That recording is on there. There is a printed resource or PDF resource with all of the details that the resource committee works with Bethany to develop every year to make sure we're updating with any changes and all of that. So all that criteria is on there too.
Great, thank you. Another question that popped up, if someone is interested in learning about a committee or program, what is the best way to learn about how much commitment is required and how you can contribute? I think the best way would be to contact uh, the board oversight of that committee. Um, then they can give you a better idea of kind of the commitments. Typically, how our committees work is that there is a monthly meeting that typically lasts usually under an hour each month on a set day. And then there'll be different tasks that will be delegated out to the committee. So committees can kind of do as much or as little as they want. Depends on sort of the passion of the people on the actual committee. But yeah, I think that the best way would be to actually contact the board oversight for the different committees. If you're not really sure who does what, you can reach out to any of the people on this contact list. But yeah, we're always looking for people. But I think the thing that makes it less daunting is everyone that's on these committees, as well as the board, are all volunteers. So this is sort of designed for people that are working full time in the zoo and aquarium industry. So, I think it's very manageable. Okay. I'm losing myself in the chat. All right. Someone interested in IOC?
I can chime in for that for the IOC. So that's a committee that I oversee. the IOC is big and we have a lot going on, so we are always happy to have a few more people join in. There's a few kind of subcommittees to the IOC because we do a lot. One of the subcommittees is just working on translating articles from the AKF into Spanish so that we can then send it on to Spanish speaking members of the organization. The IOC's kind of mission is to develop resources that help aid like Latin American keepers, since throughout currently Central and South America have access to better professional development. So we're working on translating some articles, translating some resources into Spanish so that it's more readily available. We also help places in Central and South America that want to host conferences and or like small workshops. We help them develop programming for it, and we'll sometimes even attend and present and talk a little bit about AZAC, but also talk about whatever, I mean, any the same as what you'd be presenting at any other conference. We'll present in Spanish at those things. So we have a few different subcommittees of the IOC. And so yeah, we're definitely looking for more people. So if you can speak Spanish, or read it, that's definitely a bonus. I am certainly not fluent in Spanish though, so it is not a requirement at all. Anybody who's just kind of passionate about trying to help professional development flourish in Central or South America is going to be great. So yeah, you can reach out to me either at my email address or just email the IOC's email address, and we will get in contact with you and talk about joining the committee. So.
All right, any last second questions? Oh, someone that's worked with the vet and have done workshops and they're very interested. Awesome. All right, well, we are just about at an hour. So thank you all for joining us. Like I said, we're always here to help. We're one organization strong. So if you ever have, questions as a member, if you're ever having any sort of chapter struggles, anything like that, you can reach out to any one of us and we are here to help. But thank you so much for joining us tonight and have a great rest of your night.